Hello and welcome to Views on News. I'm Jawad Tehami. World Maritime Day is being observed today in order to highlight the significance of shipping safety, maritime security and marine environment. The theme this year around is new technologies for greener shipping. Now, the shipping sector is basically responsible for 80% of the global trade. That's a huge chunk of the transportation that shipping sector owns. And on the other hand, there are 3% of the greenhouse gas emissions which are contributed by the maritime sector, and they have a profound and a considerable impact on climate change. Now, the theme reflects this year that there are requirements for energy efficiency, new technology and innovation, maritime education and training, and also the maritime traffic management and development of maritime infrastructure. At the same time, the naval chief has issued a statement and he has said that Pakistan Navy, being the major stakeholder in the maritime sector, has pledged to make concerted efforts to sustainable development of maritime sector in Pakistan and also address the challenges facing us in the pursuit of the greener transition. And let's bring in our panelists today to discuss the importance and the significance of the theme of the World Maritime Day this year. We are honored to have been joined in the studio by Dr. Commodore retired Mr. Anjum Sarfraz, who is expert in maritime affairs. He's a columnist, has served in various think tanks. He's a PhD in international relations, and also he's serving right now in the National Institute of Maritime Affairs in Islamabad as a senior research fellow. Thank you very much for taking time out for Views on News, sir.
Thank you very much.
And we are also joined in the studio by Lieutenant Commander Saad bin Khalid from Pakistan Navy. Thank you for your time at Views on News as well.
Pleasure to be in the show.
And we are also being joined by Miss Asma Shakir Khawja, who is Executive Director, Center for International Strategic Studies, Azad Jammu and Kashmir, CISS, and she is expert in foreign affairs. She is joining us on Skype. Thank you, Ms. Khawja, for your time on the show as well. We really appreciate that. Let's begin the discussion with you, Dr. Sarfraz. When we talk about the significance of observing the World Maritime Day, what happens to be the significance, what remains to be the focus, and what needs to be highlighted more?
Thank you very much. As you have already said, that the theme of this World Maritime Day, this year World Maritime Day, is new technologies for greener shipping. This basically focuses on how to accelerate the transmission of maritime sector towards low emission and maximum efficiency with less emission. And these two things, they can, if you sum up, then it will be called that reduce the global warming, which is the major topic being discussed at every forum nowadays. And as you have already highlighted, that 80% of the world cargo is transported through sea. And as you know, the sea is the transportation through sea is less than it is less cost effective as compared to rail, road and air. And at the same time, the new technologies, innovation in new technologies is a continuous process. And in the shipping sector, in the private shipping sector, the new technologies are being developed as far as the ships structures are being concerned, the ship propulsion is being concerned, ships, the major factor which produce the emission gases is the propulsion system. That is the engine which produce. So how to reduce the emission from engines, how to reduce the noise from the propeller, and how to achieve the maximum efficiency.
Right.
This being
so efforts regarding this particular thing are already underway, right? The innovation is being done, the research and development is already ongoing.
Yes, these are the major sectors in which the research is being carried out, how to reduce these.
So has there been any phenomenal change over the years after this research and development?
There is a phenomenal change. For example, the International Maritime Organization, this has issued in January 2020 that the fuel which is consumed by the merchant ships should not have sulfur content more than 0.5%. And before that, it was allowed till up to 3.5%. So this was a major, and now the ships which are being built, they are being built keeping in view that this type of fuel is being consumed.
Right. So let's go to Lieutenant Commander Saad. So what's your take regarding the significance of this particular day? Why is it observed annually? And this time around, the theme, as we know that 3% of the greenhouse carbon gas emissions are contributed by the maritime sector. So the theme this year around is very much relevant to that particular concern.
Yes, this topic, the new technology for greener ships, is synthesized that the new ships, the new technology needs to produce less carbon dioxide. And that is the IMO convention that by 2050, 50% of the emissions produced should be reduced. In this regard, apart from the engine, there are few technological innovations that have been done. That is the use of LNG, that is also being tried. LNG in the one is the engine, the other one is the diesel generators or the generators that produce power, and they run continuously even in port. So they are being tried on LNG because LNG is a more carbon efficient fuel. Other than that, the catalytic converter that is used in our cars as well, that has been now deployed in ships to reduce the sulfur dioxide and the harmful contents exhaust that is that the ship emits. These are some of the.
So that's the introduction of new technology.
That is the introduction of new technology, and that is being applied in the naval ships as well.
For increasing the energy efficiency as well.
Energy efficiency, reducing the harmful contents of the exhaust that is emitted by ships. And within Navy and within Pakistan, this day is important because it signifies that what needs to be done, what technological innovations, what policies need to be done in the sphere of shipping, maritime environment and maritime sphere.
Right. Let's go to Ms. Asma. Ms. Asma, so the theme of this year World Maritime Day is very much in line with the concern that the maritime sector contributes 3% of the greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere, which have a considerable impact on climate change. And vis-a-vis, when we talk about Pakistan, Pakistan has been a direct victim of the climatic changes this time around because it's been hit massively by the flash floods because of the climate change. So how the maritime sector globally and in specific Pakistan can help reduce these carbon emissions, and a target of reducing it to half by 2050, according to the IMO has been given to the countries as well.
Thank you for asking a pertinent question. But I would like to add that it is right now what is happening in Pakistan, that is not climate change, that is rather climate crisis. And this is happening when we are one of the least contributors of carbon emissions to the world environment. So we are on the receiving end rather than on damaging the ozone layer or the world environment and climate. So we have to understand it. Number two, seas are one of the most efficient and popular way of international or medium of international trade and blue economy. And world is thinking that maybe by increase our dependence or utilization of sea routes will help us to manage cost-effective imports and exports and trade across the globe. But at the same time, it is really important to see that how our increased use of sea lines and sea links is affecting the ecology and environment of seas across the globe. As you know, there are several islands in Pacific which are sinking due to the carbon emission and due to the policies of industrialized states. In South Asia, Maldives is one of those countries which is severely under threat due to the same reason, the increase in the water level of the sea. So we have to, as a community, community, we have to understand and do something, or do what we can to reduce these threats, because eventually these threats of this climate change, or and the pollution in sea, and the increase in carbon emissions in sea level, affect the livelihood of the community of interest which lives, or which earns money or feed their families from the sea, whether it is fishery, or it is trade, or it is shipbreaking industry. And we also know that the whole world dumped its waste, its human waste, its industrial waste, its urban waste in the seas. So world has to rethink the way we utilize sea, and they will look at the seas. So and it is not a like short term goal,
Taken on one
it is a
side.
long term process. Change
Mr.
of the
Asma,
culture.
you're of the view that global warming and climatic changes which are happening globally, they are a threat to the sea routes, and they also affect the livelihoods of the people, a large number of strata of the people associated with different professions. Now, basically, when we talk about the maritime sector in itself, although it is paying the price for the overall global warming, but it is actually itself a contributor of 3%. And there is a target that has been set by International Maritime Organization of cutting these emissions by half by 2050. Do you think that this target is achievable?
Definitely, if there is will, if there is commitment to the cause, no, it is definitely achievable. Pakistan, being a responsible country, is already not contributing to worsening the climate across the globe, but still we are part of all those commitments, and to diversify our dependence on a better efficient fuel with lesser carbon emissions. As we know, technological developments are helping the world right now to deal with the contemporary crises. But definitely, as a student of strategic studies, these technological advances also, 100 years back, contributed to the industrialization of the world, which eventually has has caused a climate crisis for the globe, or for the people, especially people living in the less privileged countries. So we have to see that how we can constructively utilize technology to help the environment, because up till now the technology is being used to improve our production, to improve the speed of the ships, improve the efficiency, but we are not that much concerned, as you know, that whenever the fishery in or the fish in sea is under threat because of the similar pollution, we are contributing, the world is contributing, because Pakistan is on the receiving end. But still, being a responsible state actor, Pakistan is, and you as for last few years, Pakistan Maritime uh, decision makers are focusing on blue economy, and how to use CPAC, how to use sea links, and connect them with CPAC to open up and reach out the larger audience in the world, and larger
Right, Ms.
increase
Asma, your
our
point is
reach
well
out.
taken. I'll
So
come
all these
back to this point. Please hold your thought over there. Dr. Sarfraz, when we talk about the chances of achieving this target of cutting these greenhouse gas emissions by half by 2050, as per the IMO target that's been set, do you think it is achievable? And this theme around, do you think it is in line with the Sustainable Development Goals as well?
Uh, I think the goal which has been set by IMO, this has been set after a lot of deliberation and considerations. And in my personal opinion, the efforts which are being made by IMO, and the regulations which are being made by IMO, and then the implementation which is being done by the various nations in letter and spirit, so these will be achievable. And may I add over here that the present this World Maritime Day goals, the what you call the sustainable development goals, these are also embedded in this. For example, the sustainable development goal 13, 14, 9 and 17. There are total 17, and out of these 17, 13, 14, 9 and 17, these are embedded in this, and 13 talks about the climate change, and this is of course very valid for the greener shipping, and 14 is for the preservation of the underwater marine life. This is also very valid, and 17 highlights the importance of partnership for implementation to achieve these goals. This is
how
very, very
partnerships
important.
can be made and they can be maintained in order to achieve the targets. Please go ahead.
Please,
Continue.
can you repeat your question?
How the partnerships, as you alluded to the fact that SDG 17
Yeah.
is focused basically on building the partnerships. So how crucial building partnerships is for this particular target, and how can they be maintained
Right.
for a longer run?
Right. This is a very good question. The partnership over here, it means when the SDG 17 elaborates, it says that the developed countries, they should help the developing countries for improving their, the greenhouse, to reduce minimize the greenhouse effect by contributing monetarily as well as transferring the technology, the advanced technologies, and training to the seafarers and the crew and all those development, and in the shipbuilding and in ship recycling and in all those maritime sectors in which this which affect the greenhouse gases, they should help those countries, developing countries, to improve this sector.
Right, Ms. Asma, your take on building the partnerships and maintaining them for the targets to be met in the longer run. Ms. Asma, can you hear me, please? Okay, so Lieutenant Commander Saad, what sort of steps Pakistan Navy is taking in order to spread the maritime awareness?
Cognizant of the fact that maritime potential of Pakistan Navy has taken a lot of steps, which include first one is the Maritime Awareness Campaign Plan. That is a well-deliberated plan established at Naval Headquarters. Major facets of which include the interaction with policymakers, media, and their orientation visit to the maritime sector. We take this with the help of Maritime Security Workshop, MARSU, which is conducted annually. That is conducted in December every year, and apart from that, the inclusion of maritime subjects in curriculum of students, that has been a major step taken, so that we are.
Is it being done across the board?
It is.
Or is it specific to any certain grade or?
No, it is included in the primary and secondary education. A few chapters regarding to the maritime curriculum have been included and will be revised accordingly, so that we inculcate this maritime.
How do those chapters seem like for the general awareness of the people who are watching?
So the problem with, we have a very sea blindness problem, and this is a problem that is not with Pakistan, it is with the major maritime nations as well. So apart from people living in Karachi, we have to tell people in other regions as well that the maritime trade, maritime economy, it affects people living in the central Punjab, central Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, or any other part of Pakistan. For example, if the shipping route is affected, so it will affect a trader sitting at Sialkot city as well. So, but he doesn't know that as of now. But this needs to be inculcated in students so that they know from the beginning that this maritime awareness, the maritime subjects, and the terminologies related to it. And other than that, we conduct International Maritime Symposium, International Maritime Conference through our National Institute of Maritime Affairs. And we also engage with business community.
So this effort, what I understand from this is two-tier. one, spreading awareness among the general masses,
Sure.
and two, educating people for the specific purpose, right?
Exactly. This is how we are going about it, so that this is apart from policymakers, media, and general population, so that we come to the policies made in the region, because a lot of work is going on in the maritime domain sphere, and it is a very specialized and technical subject. So we need to have aware people sitting at right positions, so that right policies are made and a major work is done in this domain.
Dr. Sarfraz, your take, how this complex subject or a complex domain can be inculcated among the general masses in particular?
Right. My colleague has mentioned about National Institute of Maritime Affairs. Since I work in National Institute of Maritime Affairs, so briefly, this institute was established initially at Karachi in 2007. Then it was as a National Center for Maritime Policy Research, and then in 2017-18 it has been upgraded to now National Institute of Maritime Affairs, and its headquarters is in Islamabad, and we have a center at Karachi, and now we are going to establish in Gwadar and as well as at Lahore. Our main aim is to create maritime awareness amongst the public and in the government also. I should not hesitate to say that the maritime awareness is required at every sector.
Look,
Whether
look,
it is
for example,
the general
I tend
public
to make an
or-
observation over here. Why is it necessary to be?
I was coming to
why
that.
public
I
needs
was
to be
coming to
made
that.
aware?
I was coming
Because,
to that. At the moment, when I have gone to various universities to deliver lecture, and the students generally ask, "Sir, we know that Karachi and there is a sea,
yeah,
Arabian Sea." Some of them even don't know the name of the sea.
not
And
many of
after that, we
themselves
don't know what
witnessed.
is that. So we go to the universities and we deliver lecture. What is blue economy? What is sea? What is the potential of the oceans? And what is the importance of the oceans to the sea? For example, our 98% of the fuel is coming through sea, and our 92% of trade is general trade is through sea. So if the sea lines of communication are disturbed, even during peacetime by any reason,
It's just naturally going to have an impact on the
it is going
lives
to
of the
have
common
impact
man.
all of Pakistan. So this is creation of awareness, and we are doing that with holding seminars, going to universities, webinars, and at every level. So this is our, and then we make the recommendations of the seminars, and we disseminate to the government quarters, the concerned government quarters, and in the seminars we invite the stakeholders. Previously it was a limited affairs. Now we have made it, sometimes we invite the members of the Chamber of the Commerce, the stakeholders, the shipping agents, the ship owners, and various other stakeholders which are in the maritime affairs, just to create the maritime awareness.
Right. Miss Asma Khawja, can you hear me, please? Miss Asma, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes,
Okay,
you
so
are audible.
your take on the importance of spreading awareness among the general public and educating them regarding this maritime sector.
Whenever we intend to bring socio-political changes and the cultural changes, it is very important because we are changing the culture, how we use sea or utilize sea, and our um, contributions. So, whenever we want to bring change, it is always two-pronged strategy. One, we have to start with the decision-making processes, and we need to make laws. And number two, we need to bring awareness among common public. It is top-bottom approach, and we need to build capacity of common man regarding the careful utilization and to make careful choices vis-a-vis that certain social change. So definitely capacity building is really important, and I'm so um, it is so encouraging to see maritime research centers, institutes, students doing their research studies on maritime security, and above all doing their PhDs in maritime studies. So this reflects that how keenly a common Pakistani academia, Pakistani scholars and students, they are aware of the importance of maritime security. And when we use the term security, it is not about coercive security, it is about the comprehensive security, which starts with individuals and leads to secure a state as a whole. So it is capacity building is a brilliant idea, and as my worthy colleague said, that it is not only about the people living in Karachi but people living in whole Pakistan, because sea lines are directly linked to the economy of a country, and any stress on economy, who knows better than Pakistanis that any stress on economy would be shared and would affect the livelihood of billions of people living in this territory. So definitely I know being a teacher, because that we have in strategic studies departments, we have included exclusive courses on maritime security. We have conducted workshops and seminars in think tanks. We have included maritime security as a special field of study, so that we can research on it and see that how to address the threats emerging from it, and how to make our role and contributions more responsible and more careful to preserve,
Right.
improve our sea line securities.
Right, Ms. Asma, your point is well taken. Lieutenant Commander Saad, when we talk about the efforts by Pakistan Navy regarding the warships, how the Navy is making those efforts in order to make them energy efficient, and similarly, at the same time, keeping cost effectiveness in sight as well. Is it being done indigenously, or is it being done in collaboration with the other countries in the region, particularly when we talk about China, because there's been a huge defense collaboration between the two countries?
So the underlying concept of innovation is that this is a concept. Greener shipping is a relatively new concept. Major experiments have been done in the past. For example, the kite sailing, it was done in 2007, and few major concepts, that sail and kite ship, it is being experimented worldwide. So the available technology, that is one of is the catalytic converter, then the use of pure fuel to reduce carbon print. So for Pakistan Navy, we are moving towards the higher standards and better standards of fuel to reduce our carbon footprint. A ship, unlike any other platform, is made for at least 25-30 years or plus. So the technology innovation is taking place. It will take a lot of time. That is why the IMO has set a timeline of 2050, because they know that shipbuilding, ship construction is a complex domain, and it requires a lot of time. So by 2050 and by the next induction plans, we are moving towards the greener platforms, greener technologies, and we will induct in our system as well.
Right. So, Dr. Sarfraz, your institution would have done definitely an assessment regarding the efforts which are being made by Pakistan Navy for greener shipping. How significant efforts have been made so far, and what needs to be done more in future?
Right. Before I dwell on the greener shipping, I just want to talk about the courses in the universities and schools about the maritime sector.
Well, coming back to the education and spreading awareness.
Yeah.
Right.
May I mention that way back in 2007, when the NCMPR, National Center for Maritime Policy Research, was established in Karachi, we started these certificate courses in Karachi. Purely topics were maritime sector. Then we started the postgraduate courses, and now in Barrier University is conducting MBA Maritime, and we have carried out research, our feedback, and we came to know that all those personnel who had done the certificate courses, postgraduate courses, and maritime MBA, they have all been employed in the various maritime.
So there is a lot of
industries.
job scope for that matter.
Yes, what I am saying is that the other universities should also start this maritime sector, maritime subjects in and the curriculum of their universities. That was about the talking of the maritime education. Secondly, the maritime sector is also considered the fishing and ship building and ship recycling. Now, in the shipbuilding, we have Karachi Shipyard and Engineering Works. It as a state-of-the-art equipment now, and they are working on the modern technologies. They have built warships, destroyers, frigates, submarines, gunboats, missile boats, and tugs and all that. Smaller ships because the capacity is less, and at the same time, over there the channel is not that much deep that they can build bigger ships. But the smaller ships are being built, and they are being built as per the modern technologies.
So you mean to say they're more efficient as compared to their previous versions? Right?
They are much more efficient than previous version. That was shipping. Then the ship recycling, which means that the ship life of a ship is about 25 to 30 years, and then it is sold out, and then it is dismantled, and it is used. The steel is used for various purposes. So in that industry is also progressing. There are few flaws in it, but it is also progressing, and the emphasis is on so that it should be made more safer and less emission of various gases. That is also being very seriously looked into. And in the fishing sector, we have, as per today, the boats are little old, but now the technologies are coming up. We are having fiberglass fishing boats, and at the same time, now the new technology that the shipping boats should have the solar energy, that they have the solar panel on the top, and then the energy produced is used for the outboard engine. That is also being worked out, that it will have towards the greener shipping effect. So Pakistan is well aware. Pakistan Navy, Pakistan merchant fleet, and at the same time the various maritime sectors, they are now alive to the problem, and they are working on it.
Right. Lieutenant Commander Saad, do you think are there any challenges for Pakistan Navy in the pursuit towards this green transition?
Well, first one is the awareness or the implementation understanding that we will overcome with the Maritime Awareness Campaign Plan, seminars and webinars and educated sessions on that. Second is the availability of technology and indigenous capability production. We are also working on that. One of the department is also looking after that, and in future we'll have the technology available for the greener technology. So Pakistan Navy is well aligned to move towards the greener technology.
Right. Ms. Asma, your assessment and understanding of the efforts being carried out by Pakistan Navy for this green transition.
Yeah. Yes. See, one thing with this, our discussion and the way Pakistan is celebrating the Maritime Security Day is confirmed that Pakistan is a responsible state actor. We don't want to contribute to the destruction or to the climate crisis going on in this world. Number one. Number two, every technological advancement needs financial resources. So we all know that Pakistan, if we want to fully implement the technological advancement and to control our carbon footprint, we need financial investment. We need financial resources. Number three, we need technology transfer. The way developed or industrial world are inventing technologies to cope with this phenomena and make the sea greener, we need that technology transfer as well. And then definitely our engineers, our technicians are competent enough to produce indigenous technology as well. But as we know, if we are dealing with the common threat, which is a threat to the global sustainable development and peace, then the whole world need to collaborate and cooperate as well to deal with that common threat of climate
Right, beg your
crisis.
pardon for the interruption. Ms. Asma, when you talk about the technology transfer from the developed countries to the developing countries, one of the SDGs, as Dr. Sarfraz alluded to the fact, also deals directly with building and maintaining partnerships in this particular regard. What sort of role do you think Pakistani academia or the scientific community is doing? Because we don't have to depend all the time on the technology transfer from abroad. It has to be something indigenous as well at the same time.
Exactly, are definitely military industrial complexes, our technological technological staff or technical staff is definitely capable of producing indigenous models or indigenous technologies. But my point of view is, if the threat is common and we are dealing with a common threat, why can't we have common strategies to deal with that threat? And technology transfer is one of that, is among that cooperation. We all know that different regions of the world, they are standing together to deal with this threat, and only SARC is the most connected or linked region to deal with such threats. So definitely our scientists, our engineers, our technical staff is capable to produce indigenous. But if some country has already produced that technology, which can reduce the carbon imprint, which can make the sea links, sea lines greener, ship industry greener, why can't we share the technology so that uh, if one has achieved something, a whole world would take constructively, whole world would be
Right.
benefited from that
Right.
technological
Since climate change is not the concern of one country, it is the concern and a threat to
exactly.
the entire planet. So there should be partnerships as per your view. Dr. Sarfraz, coming to one last point, it's very, how crucial do you think digitization is for building more efficient infrastructure, especially ports?
You're talking about the port.
Ports and digitization of ports.
Yes. First of all, if the ports has to be very efficient as far as the cargo handling is concerned, the reason being that nowadays the chartering of a ship is very expensive, and the company which is running the ship, they want that the ship should come in the port and the turnover should be minimum. And you will be surprised to know that way back it was in weeks, and nowadays it is in hours.
Right.
So it can only be achieved if the crew at the port, crew handling by the port, berthing, and at the same time loading, unloading is efficient. Then only the ship turnover can be reduced. And in this handling of this thing, the green effect is also very important. You have to have the automation, and the machinery which is required should produce less emission, and that is running parallel to the efficiency. And it is being considered in Pakistani ports, and you will be delighted to know that our port, Karachi Port, SAPT, it is a state-of-the-art.
Your point is well taken. Unfortunately, we're short of time. Lieutenant Commander Saad, your quick, brief point of view regarding the digitization of maritime.
Digitization of the maritime technology, it is now a very new domain that has entered, and which reduces bearing the human interface, because the ships require some.
It's very crucial.
It's very
Your,
crucial.
all the view. Ms. Asma, your take regarding digitization of the maritime sector.
See, digitization is always very good because it improves the efficiency, it reduces our reliance on extensive manpower, and it improves the accuracy and precision of our equipments, definitely. And with reference to your the theme of today's talk,
Right, thank you, Ms. Asma. Thank you very much for being on the show. We really appreciate your time. Ms. Asma Shakir Khawja, Executive Director, Center for International Strategic Studies. And we were joined in the studio by Commodore retired Dr. Anjum Sarfraz, Expert Maritime Affairs, and Lieutenant Commander Saad bin Khalid. Thank you for being on the show. With this note, we come to the end of today's show. Until the next one, take very good care of yourselves.
Thank you very much.